How are we all doing? Can you all hear me? Happy Thursday, or perhaps Friday, depending on where you are in the world, where you're joining us from. It's a happy Thursday here in Montreal, although it's super raining, which is not my favorite thing. Someone dropped the Gordy sticker again? Yeah, totally. I think you should all have access to that as well.
Oh my.
If you're watching the YouTube recording of this at some point in the future, in our Discord server, we've got great little black and white stickers of each member of the Botpress team. Hopefully, so far it's just Jesse and Gordy, but who can say what the future holds? Certainly not I. Patrick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Enjoying the rain.
Enjoy it like a frog in the way that a frog would enjoy the rain?
Yeah, in exactly in that way. Totally. Like I'm a frog today, just going around hopping in puddles of water, splashing everybody. Um, yeah, doing what frogs do.
It's a pretty good way to be, I think. All right, hello chat. We've got some stuff planned for today, but I will say right off the top of today's episode, we've got some things that we need your input on. So the overall plan for today is Patrick and I are going to build a relatively simple bot from A to Z. So we'll see how far we can get in this 1 hour. So we're gonna handle that, but we might need some input from you guys about what tasks you want to see accomplished or certain cards maybe you're having some trouble with and you want us to troubleshoot with you live. So we might figure some stuff like that out together, maybe see some automation. Truly, who can say what the future holds? Again, not I. But Patrick, that's kind of the overall plan for today. Patrick, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, yeah, just feel free to write anything in the chat, and we'll take it into consideration and see if we can build it for everybody. Um, don't be afraid. Like we can build pretty much anything. The only constraint is time here. So we might not do everything, obviously. Well, we can't do everything, unfortunately. But we'll try to do the things that people are asking for
Awesome.
in general.
I'm seeing a couple of questions in chat already, so I'll field these before we head on over to the next thing. We're talking about triggers, we're talking about tables. I think we're going to leave those for future episodes. Triggers because it's a feature that's still technically in beta, so I don't want to mess around with it too much. And tables because that really deserves a couple of episodes all on its own. So maybe we'll show you how to integrate those in in a future episode. But those are all really good questions. So please keep those kinds of requests coming because it helps us guide what we're going to do in future episodes. What about building wooden tables? Yeah, that would be a great stream, wouldn't it? If we were just like, we're not talking about anything software related today. We're doing carpentry.
Well, I can make a chatbot that's all about building wooden tables. Although I'm not sure about the content. I'm not sure how much value this chatbot would provide. Also,
Let us know in chat if you want to see a carpentry bot. Who can say? Ah, I see.
that's a
Okay,
screen I like to see.
so I hope that everyone in chat right now is familiar with the screen that I'm currently sharing. If you're not, this means that you haven't seen the wonderful options that we have that are available to you when you can begin building a bot. Patrick, do you want to tell me which one I should pick?
Maybe we should actually go over them. I don't know if we've ever talked about this. So the first two are very similar. So they're well, first of all, this whole screen is about picking the starter bot that you want. And the first two are just about you either picking a website or a document and creating a chatbot that answers questions from those. The third one is starting from a template. So we have a few basic templates. Do you want to click that? Or am I being
Start from.
repetitive, Robert? You let me know.
No, I think this is great. So we're
Uh,
starting from a template. What does this mean?
Uh, so AI public personality, I believe it's a bot that will ask you to give a name like Elon Musk or Super Mario. Uh, actually Mario, I guess. And then it will emulate that person or fictional character and you can chat with it. Recipe Finder is of course the one that Gordon references to in his series of videos. Um, Basic is just empty, and Recruitment Bot it's for HR. But I think we can click back here. And I'm gonna promote my own, which is I need hand holding, the last one.
Just so we're all clear, when we say I need hand holding, you are not expressing to Botpress a certain loneliness that you feel. I
Oh
would
no,
highly
no.
recommend therapy to most people. But Patrick, what is hand holding in this scenario?
So it's hand holding is basically we build part of the bot a little bit more, and there are product tours for this bot that are they're designed for this bot. They explain the bot. They show you how to do things with this bot, which is a little bit more difficult to do if it's any random bot because you can't explain everything. Uh, so this is a bot with explanations. That's a simple way to say it.
A bot
Um,
with explanations. I like that.
yeah. And okay, so we'll give it a random name. So there's four options here when you use this. So you can click random. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And now, have we decided what we're building? Because who will Pixel represent? Um,
Okay, so this is maybe where we'll ask for some input from the audience. If you're familiar with the hand-holding bot process, maybe let us know which one you want to see us build here. If you are looking to build a bot and you're like, hey, what do we want this bot to do? I'm looking for some suggestions. So anyone have any strong opinions about what we want the bot that we're going to build today, Patrick and I, to actually do?
yeah,
We've
how
got
about
a
we
limited.
yeah, how about we start with what will it do? Support or sales?
I see a comment in chat about social media marketing agency. I like the idea of an SMMA. Patrick, is that something that you think we can do? That seems like a really good suggest.
About about a social media marketing agency. So this is an information bot, presumably.
Yeah,
Um,
probably supplying information about what kind of services you, the agency, provide to your potential clients. Yeah.
yeah, sure. Let's everybody good with that? I see a
I,
yeah. Carpentry.
I see a couple of chats.
Yeah.
Let's build a therapist bot. I'm gonna say Botpress is not in the business of providing medical advice to anybody. If you're in need of medical advice, please seek a professional. Carpentry bot.
Or do
I like that
carpentry.
suggestion.
You know, I'm sure that's very soothing.
Scorpion, I'm so sorry. I do think that carpentry is going to have to win out here because we love a callback, and also I'm seeing some thumbs up here. So Pixel is going to represent this carpentry bot. But Scorpion, I would love to see if you build an SMMA bot. Put it in. We have a channel on Discord here where you can share your bots. So I would love to see what you end up building for that. But for now, let's say it'll represent Woody, the carpentry company.
So let's have it sell, I
So
guess.
let's have it sell.
And because the social media marketing company would also be selling, so let's do that. And
Yeah.
serious, casual, professional. Let's pick what is carpentry?
Carpentry is a serious business, so we're gonna
Or
go with that.
casual. It depends, right? Okay, let's do serious.
Professional or
Let's do high
expander
end
T.
carpentry here.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
and okay, we got everything. Okay, so with that, okay, so we can skip it because I know this information. I can click the top. Yeah, thank you. Otherwise, it
So
shows me the
just
bot. Yeah.
yeah, just in the future, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're curious that you're in stream now, you're watching. What we have in front of us is Sabrina from Botpress. She's in the chat, I believe, the famous Sabrina. But she'll walk you through the studio. So, for example, if this is like the first time that you are building a bot, or maybe it's been a couple of weeks and you're a bit rusty, when you create a new bot, you'll be prompted to have a guided tour through the studio, and this is what Sabrina's here for. So this is really great for beginners, or if you want to just dip your toes into bot building. Highly recommend. But as Patrick and I are, we've done this already a bunch of times. We're going to X out of here, and we will be your Sabrina today. All right, so let me zoom in a bit here. Patrick, what am I looking at?
So you're looking at the pre-built, let's say, foundation of your bot. So specifically here, the only thing that it does right now is it automatically answers to whatever questions you ask it. So if you look on the right where it says test your chatbot, we pre-send a hello message just so you can see, but you can ask a question like, what can you do? Go ahead, Robert. And it will answer. You can even say like, tell me a joke about carpentry.
Oh, this is a great one. Okay.
I don't know what it's going to output. I'm not
Let's see what it
responsible for what it says here. Why did the carpenter go broke? Because he couldn't find any board feet. Oh, wow.
Okay, so I mean, this is obviously hilarious, but if you're in chat, you might be wondering, like, how does this joke get generated? Where's it pulling this information from? We haven't told it anything about what we want it to do besides kind of prompting it to talk about carpentry. So,
Yeah.
Patrick, can you answer my question? How does it know, how does it come up with this joke? What is it using on the back end to come up with this hilarious joke and to know about carpentry? What's going on there?
Okay, so the conversation starts with where it says start
Hmm.
on the top left. And you see there's like a line. It directs the user to this box called assistant. And
Hmm.
inside you have a whole bunch of cards. So if answered from knowledge base, if user wants a human, AI, task, next assistant message, all of these are like steps that the user goes through. So the first thing that happens is we check to see if there's an answer from knowledge base. Knowledge base just means, does your bot already like know the answer, not like guess? Then if that's not the case, it goes down. If a user wants a human, we don't have this logic set up. Uh, so the user would then go down to AI task. And AI task is the brain. So yeah, if you click it uh, on the top right, you see the task instructions. So this is very similar to ChatGPT. Uh, the difference being we allow you to extract the exact information that you want in a format that is usable. So what do I mean by that? If you look at the task instructions, we are telling it that it's a helpful assistant called Pixel, and that's from the window that we had previously, who answers questions about Woody, the carpentry company. Your primary goal is to support sales to the best of your ability. Your tone is serious. And the task itself here is answer the last user message in the transcript.
All
Uh,
right, let me take one step back here for a sec because there's one thing that I'm not understanding is like when you say answer the last user message in the transcript, who are we talking to? Like what is powering this answer? How does Botpress know how to produce this answer? What's happening there?
who are we talking to? That's a great question. We're talking to the AI.
What
But
is the AI? What does that mean?
the AI is the LLM, so the equivalent of ChatGPT. So just like in ChatGPT, you would say like pretend you are Marcus Aurelius or Super Mario. Uh, you would say the same thing here. So you are a helpful assistant. You are going to answer everything I ask you to answer.
Yeah. There are
The
some great
you is
questions.
yeah.
There are some great questions coming in chat related to this. I'll answer them like in reverse order. Do you use your own LLM outside of GPT models, Patrick?
No, we uh, outside of GPT models. We're using the OpenAI models for the moment. We are looking into other models as well.
When
Um,
you say for the moment, what kind of future feature are you hinting at there?
hey, maybe I've already spoken too much. All I
We've
can
already
say
spoken too
is
much.
if you click advanced settings on the right in AI task, notice here there is a model field. Aha, interesting. So maybe if there was a new model in there in the future, it would show up there. That's
I
all I
see
can
a
say at the moment.
I see a question about Llama 2 in the chat. Again, I'm not going to say anything. I'll remain cagey about this, but um it seems like I will admit to having noticed a big desire in our community to substitute perhaps some open source models or some other proprietary models that you might be able to pop in there. So I know that is something that is highly desired from our community. As you all know, there are roadblocks to building these things, but we're on it. Wink, wink. Um,
Wink,
all
wink.
right.
Very big wink.
Big wink, wink. Maybe like a blink at this point. I saw a question from Simply Great Games that was echoed again. So talking about state session full history. So let's actually dive into that a bit here because I think this is relevant both to this node, this particular task that we're trying to accomplish, but also all of the bots that you are all trying to build can all benefit from this specific variable. So Patrick, the first question is, what is the difference between full history and the other option, which is summary transcript? If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe
Yeah.
I'll just actually we'll open up the summary agent. So if you just follow along to my screen here, in the agents menu, one of the agents I have enabled is the summary agent. One of the variables that this exposes is summary agent.summary and summary agent.transcript. I'm going to pause here for a sec. If you don't know what any of the words I just mentioned are, things like variables or agents, if you're not familiar with those, we've got some great videos on our YouTube channel. They're not just great because I made them, but they'll walk you through things like what is a variable and what is an agent, so you can kind of follow along. All right, back to the difference between our summary and our transcript. Patrick, what are the differences between these two things?
So a summary is, well, let's start with the transcript. A transcript is just exactly what happened in the conversation. So whatever you had in I think it's try your chatbot on the right, when we said hello and then tell me a joke about carpentry, if you open that, all of the text, not like the meta information, like conversation started, but everything that's in a bubble, that's all part of your transcript. And if you were
So
to
you
look,
can
yeah,
you can think of this kind of like the script of your entire
yeah,
conversation
so far. Yeah.
so far.
Because yeah, I mean it can't tell the truth. It can't see the future. So, and then the summary is just it takes the transcript, then it uses AI to summarize it into something smaller. Um, the summary, it's useful for like I'll tell you why I use it sometimes. Um, if if I have a conversation that I want to escalate to a human, so somebody asks for, hey, this is going nowhere. You're not answering my questions. I want to talk to a person now. Uh, uh, what you want to do is you want to take the summary of the conversation and send it to a human, so a person doesn't need to read the whole thing uh, to get an idea. They can read the summary and understand it. You can use it for other things, for AI tasks. Basically, whatever you can imagine, you can use it for. But that's the example I like to use it for.
I really like this. So maybe just I'll summary your summary answer. But the transcript is every nitty-gritty detail of the conversation your user had, whereas the summary variable condenses it down, particularly useful for stuff like human in the loop, right? Live agent handoff, if that's something that you're interested in doing. Equally, perhaps for your own records or just to test out. Patrick, as you and perhaps most of our audience members know, I am not a programmer. I don't come from a developer background. So I have a
How do you
question
use these?
that I have used these and I do know how to use them, but that's by virtue of me, working here. But I have a question that is kicking around in the back of my mind. Is it possible that the summary variable reduces the amount of tokens that you have to send when doing some kind of AI task? Was that
Yeah.
gibberish or was that a good question?
No, that's totally legit. That's a way. Yeah, no, that's great. That's a way to reduce the number of tokens. But now we have to explain this. Thank you, Robert. So LLMs have limitations, as you can imagine. They don't do absolutely everything. And one of their limitations is they cannot process too much information at the same time. Now, when you use ChatGPT, it's usually relatively short conversations. But if you ever tried to, I don't know, like dump a whole book, like you copy paste the whole book, an ebook, into ChatGPT and you ask it to run, it will probably say something like, "This is too big." There is a certain limit. Uh, with a transcript in a short conversation, you're unlikely to reach the limit. If you start adding other stuff to the conversation, like I don't know, external information. Uh, okay, let's say in the case of carpentry here, like we have, let's assume that there's a carpentry website and they have their products, and like IKEA, you have to assemble the stuff. So they have all of these guides. Uh, and let's say in a conversation, we've identified that they want to make a chair. Okay, they know the exact model. We already know it's what we want to do in our AI task is take the whole PDF of how to build that chair and then combine it with the summary of the conversation and then see if we can get a result, like to help the user with whatever problem they have. So when you start combining things like this, you can really quickly max out the capability of the LLM in a way. And using something like a summary allows you to fit more information in before busting the limit. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, this is great. This is uh I'll again just play back what I understood from this, which was that it's reducing the load on the LLM. So if you're asking it to do lots of different things, particularly if you have a complex bot, using the summary here instead of the transcript will reduce the amount of load on your LLM, hopefully improve the performance of your bot, both in terms of like latency, but equally the quality of the answers that it's trying to give. So I hope there were a couple of people that asked a question in chat about the difference here, but I see that Patrick has raised a finger. So
Yeah, just a caveat. If you use the summary instead of the transcript for whatever task, usually you should also include the last message. And that would
and what?
be, and the reason why is because it's a chatbot, first of all, like Botpress is a chatbot builder, and you want to answer what you want to answer usually is the last user message. Otherwise, it gets very confusing. You know, you can just picture like conversations with your friends, like your really close friends, and like you're answering like three messages above, and they're answering two messages above, and then somehow you like understand each other because you're best friends. You know, uh, but like with chatbots, this doesn't really work. You want to answer the last message. You want to make sure you answer the last message as much as
Patrick
possible.
is Patrick is talking about me and him there. We have a mind-to-mind connection. We don't even need to talk. We just need
Yes,
to just to
Star
vibe
Trek
next to each
reference
other.
right there. What
There are there there are a few really good questions in chat that I want to make sure that we get to.
yeah.
I'll do them in order. So just returning back to the summary question really quickly. Isotonic in chat had a really great question. Can we show how to send the summary via webhook? Patrick, is that, do you think, within the scope of this kind of bot building session we're doing today, or is that something we can feature later?
Uh, let's see. Site troubleshooting. I don't know if we can get to it. We can try webhook. I mean, it's not super hard to do. You do have to do some setup outside of Botpress, but within Botpress, it's not that hard. Well, you just need like the circumstances. Like you can't just start the conversation and like send a summary because there's nothing to summarize, you know. So usually it's like done after you've built the other parts. But we can maybe see. I'm gonna note it down and we'll see if we can get to it.
All
Send some.
right. Isotonic has followed up in chat. It's just the bot press side they need. So perhaps that is something that
Yeah,
we'll be able to show.
yeah.
We'll give it a shot. We'll see. I There's another great question here. Can you teach the bot based on the conversation that the bot will return a link to the product on the website? Velislav, I think there's a couple of different ways to answer your question. I don't if what you want is to send the user to your website based on a specific product, there's no need to teach it because you can use a knowledge base for that, right? So you'll be able to tell your bot will learn all the products you have for sale, whether you upload that through a PDF or your website, and then your user will be able to query that or ask questions of that. And then get sent to the correct place with the correct product in mind. So, Velislav, if you've got more questions about that, we've got a great series on YouTube about knowledge bases. There's lots of tutorials there that should help you get that set up. Then if you've got additional questions, we're here in Discord to help you out. And then David, lovely David on our team, asked a great question. How would you do that, Patrick? I know exactly what he's referring to here. I will just refresh everyone's memory. One of the last things we spoke about was making sure that your bot responds to the last user message. And I think that's actually a great place to start here. Patrick, how would I set that up? How would I set up that it's responding to the last message?
Okay, so if we go back to next assistant message, so the
Hmm.
AI task, you can just like open it up. It's already open, sorry. The first one, the AI task, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then just like open it up a little bit because it's kind of small.
You would like me to zoom in?
Yeah, no, but you can the panels you can make them wider.
Uh, Pro tip for everyone, if you didn't know, you can adjust the width of your panels, like so.
Yes. I'm sorry. I know like everybody has different personal preferences about this, but I like it to be a bit wider.
I see, I
Um,
see.
okay, so here we have the AI task input, which is the transcript. I notice it's a little bit different from the from the summary agent. We can change that. The reason it is because this template came out before the summary agent came out. So at that time, I did it in another way, but there's a simpler way. Um, if you want, Robert, we can go ahead and copy it from the summary agent and just put it here. Just so
So
if
this is
people
how I would do
follow
that.
afterwards, they will, yeah, just click it. If you just click it, it copies it, and you just paste it, and you don't really need to worry about it more than this.
Patrick, I have a studio question. Why is it green?
Why is it green?
Yeah.
Because we detected from the conversation so far. I wouldn't worry too much about this. And the reason is, as you are building a bot, very often you don't have anything in test your chatbot, so it will look red uh, because it doesn't find this variable in your conversation yet. Uh, but when it does, it becomes green. So I would just ignore this for the most part.
I never ignore anything. So what I will say, if you're like Patrick and you're happy ignoring this, that you do you. If you're not like Patrick and you're like me and you're like, this is changing colors and I don't understand why. There are a couple of different reasons for that. My understanding is if it's green, that means it's pulling the information correctly from somewhere. If it's red, it means that the variable has yet to pull that information from somewhere. Perhaps you made a typo and it's not recognizing the variable or something of that nature. But that's why if you're typing in variables in these kinds of fields, you might see some different colors happening there.
If you hover on it, actually, we can show you what we're talking about. Here it says, oh, so it found it, but it evaluates it to, and then what is this? That's an empty object. It's just a holder for information. And this is the most abstract thing possible. So it says like it exists, but no more information. I don't know
Mhm.
anything about it. Um, so like you can ignore that as well most of the time.
I
Uh,
see a great question in chat on this topic. Variables in task instructions aren't green. Does that mean it doesn't accept it? So can we place variables in task instructions?
you cannot. Uh,
So
yeah,
let me agree. This is a great question that you asked, and this is perhaps something that we can talk about now because we're on the topic of variables
yeah.
and using the studio. Whenever a field that we're filling in supports the input of variables, you'll see this little @ icon, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you that this field supports the insertion of dynamic content using variables. Here in task instructions, you can see that there's no @ or ampersand symbol, so we don't support variables input in this field. So that's how you can tell whether or not the field you're typing will allow you to place in variables without having to troubleshoot it yourself.
Yeah. And the difference between the two is really, by definition, you cannot add anything variable to the task instructions. It's just a way to organize it. There's nothing else other than that.
I see again, how do we reference variables in the task instructions? Really, there's no need to at this point. That's what the input is for. The task instructions are really kind of more like a global instruction that you might give to an employee or an agent working for you. So that's the situation there. You wouldn't support dynamic variables in the instructions you give to a colleague, for example. So that's what's happening there. Can we put the knowledge base in the AI task input? Ooh, that's a question.
Yes, you can. Maybe we can do it later, knowledge base. Speaking of this, I was thinking, does anybody have a website for a carpenter uh, that they could like share in the chat that we could use to search? Like take your time, and then we'll collect them and we'll add it a little bit later. For the moment, I just want to show you guys something. Um, the AI task input here, let's make this a little bit more explicit. So right after transcript here, yeah, click that, and then press enter to start a new line. And we're gonna modify it directly. So no, just one line, sorry. Back. Yeah. Let's write user colon and then we'll have it say what do we want to have it say? Forget my last message. uh, comma, what do we want it to say, Robert? Like just to test. Um,
Forget my last message. Ask
tell
me
me,
again. Tell
no, no,
me,
tell me something. Uh,
tell
tell
me a
me.
joke about carpentry.
Oh my God, we're too repetitive here. We gotta try something new. Um, tell me about social media marketing.
Ooh, the carpentry bot wants to tell you about social media marketing.
I mean, everybody
But
needs
I,
social media marketing, right?
that's true. This is an important facet of your business.
Okay, so now let's try it out. Let's just type hi. Hopefully this will work.
Fingers crossed.
I'm just trying something. I did not plan for this. Ah, there you go. All right. So we'll try something else again. Say again or whatever, like Bob or some random thing. Okay. So it's just repeating because you're telling it to just say the same thing, basically. Um, but if you go back to task instructions, this just it's just a way to show you you can actually write some like simple instructions or conversations within AI task input, and it will take that into account. So you don't need to have variables there. Sorry. Oh yeah, you actually do. Well, no, technically you don't. You could just write everything down here, but it kind of beats the purpose because you would always get the same answer. If you were to do that, you might as well just uh, you know, do it in ChatGPT, grab exactly what you want, and then save it to a variable instead of doing an AI task. Uh, yeah. Okay, so we can remove the user forget my last message because that's going to screw with our bot completely if we do that. Uh, okay, and then the next thing is store resultant variables. We have this variable here. Variable is just a place to store information. In this case, it's the next message of the assistant. The assistant is Pixel in this case. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So what this AI task is, what I love about this is it will never fail when you start building from this, unless you like delete the whole thing. Your bot will always answer something that is somewhat helpful or not like crazy. Um, which is nice. So then what you can do is you can add stuff before that. So that becomes your fallback. So whenever things go wrong, it goes to there. Otherwise, whatever functionality you want to add, uh, you add it before that, chronologically speaking. So Robert, I know you're going to ask me about this. How do we go back and do some checks before we reach the fallback? And to do that, we already actually are doing this a little bit here. Uh, in the node under assistant, where it says if answered from knowledge base, we end the conversation immediately. Uh, when I say end the conversation, we don't actually end it, it just goes back to start. So end just brings the user back to start. That's the easiest way to think about it, and it's a loop.
So let's hang on. Let's
Yeah.
I will abstract us even one step further. So the concept here for this bot, and we're talking about the example of carpentry, but there was some conversation in chat earlier. This is really just a sales support bot. So this is essentially you can use this for any vertical. That's kind of the point of Botpress, right? Is it's flexible enough to fit whatever business you have. So Beanie, this is exactly what I'm about to say. How do we build Q&A from knowledge base? And if not answered, AI task will provide answer. Okay, well, we'll take these a couple of steps at a time. So what's happening here is if we had a knowledge base enabled, which is why we prompted you for some carpentry websites earlier, if the answer to our user's question is found here, then we're done, right? So what you're seeing here is a transition card that is guiding the user down this path, which is telling our bot, we've satisfied the requirement, we're done. Like we've answered their question, nicely done, pat on the back, no problem. The next one here, Patrick, is well, can you walk me through this one? If user wants a human.
Oh, so that one is just a placeholder. So if you actually look at the transition on the right, the label is just a label. It's just for you guys to understand. But the condition says false. False means like no or like never in a way. So this will never ever ever activate right now. If you wanted to, you could add logic there. The logic is easy to add in the sense that you don't need to program like false is a weird word for like 99% of people. They don't use it in their day-to-day vocabulary. You don't need to. You would just write what you want in the label, and it would auto generate the code for you. Um, did I answer your question? Sorry, you were asking.
Yeah, sort of. I think the perhaps leading question that I'm leading us to here is there's a pretty obvious flow that I think many of our users are wondering about, or I have been wondering about myself, is what I see here is if the user wants a human. So let's say someone is typing into our bot, like, can I speak to a human? Give me a live support agent. I see
Yeah,
here that we're guiding that user down a path called create a ticket,
yeah.
which is empty. What's happening here?
Oh, nothing is happening. Again, it's a placeholder, but the
Or
path which we
it's a
can easily
placeholder
create
for.
a placeholder for creating a support ticket or like a lead ticket, however you want to call it. This is really for talking to a human. And the thing is, everybody has different software. Some people take, some people just do email, so you'd want to send an email. Some people use something like Zendesk, so you want to create a ticket in Zendesk. Some people use Trello. You could just create a card in Trello for a user issue. Uh,
Ooh.
and I think a lot of people mention Google Sheets in Discord. There's all sorts of things. So it's really a placeholder for uh, creating this ticket in whatever service you're using.
Okay, so this is really exciting. I'm going to pause for a sec and answer some of the questions in chat. Isotonic, thanks for stopping by. Also, shout out to Rohan. Not only the greatest support you've ever experienced, but also one of the best colleagues. So, super shout out to that. One last thing, is it possible to isolate the web link source from knowledge agent citations? I don't know the answer to this question. Patrick, do you?
The web link source with the citations. Uh, where is it? Where's the question?
It's the third most recent message in chat right now. Is it possible to isolate that web link source from the KB citation?
From the citations, yes. Yeah. You can do that. Uh,
Isotonic, if you're curious about this, or if you are
yeah,
watching this stream later on YouTube and you're saying, "Hey, I want to isolate a web link source from our from a citation," come hang out on Discord, ask the question there. Patrick or someone else will be
yeah.
able to walk you through how to do that live. And then I got another great question before we jump into creating a ticket. If there are multiple variances of a product, for example, different flavors, how can I narrow the bot to give the correct link? This is really just a question of conversation design, what you're prompting your user to say. General prompting tips are, being as specific as possible, making sure that you're prompting the model that we use in the right way, but equally, for example, formatting your knowledge base to make sure that it's able to find that answer correctly. So there are a couple of different levers you can pull to make sure that you're getting the right kinds of answers there. If you want to see a plug moment, if you want to see a series on prompting with Botpress, a wink, wink, big wink, let us know because maybe I'm already working on it. Who knows? But so that's the bit about prompting is it's a really big behemoth. But let's return back to creating a ticket. So at a high level, I think this is probably a basic feature that most of you want, and a pretty simple thing that I think is expected of customer service support bots. So we support the ability to answer from a knowledge base using AI. So hopefully that solves maybe 40, maybe 50% of all of your use cases or your customer support requests. But sometimes people just want to talk to an agent to kind of self-serve. So for example, let's say a company is using Salesforce or HubSpot to manage leads or to manage support tickets. The whole purpose of Botpress is to be able to support those alongside supporting totally automated customer support queries via knowledge bases. So these are meant to work in tandem with each other, all within the same bot, within the same kind of interface. Let's use, I'm going to say Trello as an example here. So if user wants
Robert,
a human,
sorry. I know this is gonna drive me nuts if we don't do it. Let's add a URL first so that it can
yes.
answer questions from a site.
Okay, so thank you in chat. If you were watching this on YouTube later, we got a lot of great suggestions about adding a knowledge base from a carpentry website. So let's go ahead and do that here. I'll just add my knowledge base, use my
Yep.
knowledge base source as web search, If you've never done this before, this is how you add a website to your knowledge base. And which one are we going to go with?
Carpentry Montreal should be fine.
Let's go ahead. All
So
right.
I had a look at the suggestions that people gave us, and a lot of these carpentry companies they do woodwork, but it seems like it's mostly custom. They don't manufacture chairs or whatnot. So I mean I didn't know about this, but you learn something new every day.
Look at that.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so here we have search on specific websites, Carpentry Montreal. Okay. And now let's just try it out. So
Let's hang on. There are a couple of
yeah,
fields here that we need to fill in. So I'll just make sure that we
I'll just
name
for
our
processing. Yeah.
yeah. Carpentry. And then Patrick, what is the description here? Why am I being prompted to fill this in?
This is just to help let's say the search engine to figure out what this is used for. So if you had
So
multiple sites, you would have one which would say this is about Carpentry Montreal. Another site would say this is about Metalworks Montreal or something.
are
Uh,
we able to indicate in this message, for example, to prioritize this knowledge
yeah,
base?
yeah. So
So
like,
this is
yeah, go ahead.
So for those of you in chat, and I've seen a lot of questions about this in our Discord server, for those of you that are wondering how can I maybe get more specific answers or prioritize some knowledge bases, there are a couple of different ways you can do this. On YouTube, I uploaded a video about using multiple knowledge bases with a process that's a bit more involved. But if you want to support maybe a couple of global knowledge bases here really simply, but you want to prioritize one, this is where you would tell the AI to do that. So for example, I'll say like, this is the Carpentry Montreal website. Prioritize answers from this knowledge base. The point here, I think that Patrick and I are trying to make is that a lot of these kinds of AI task inputs or places where you're telling the AI what to do support NLU, right? They support natural language understanding. So I know for me personally, I'm a bit older, so I didn't grow up in the AI world, and so I'm used to speaking in a certain way to receive a correct search from Google, like a search result from Google, for example. That's an idiomatic way of speaking. And it kind of requires a mindset shift when you're doing these kinds of prompts or you're working with AI tasks to talk to it like you would kind of talk to a friend or a colleague. So if I were to say prioritize answers from this knowledge base, in a Google search in 2008, that would have been a meaningless phrase. But here in Botpress, that actually means something. So I just wanted to flag that for all of you.
Yeah, let's go back to main and try it out.
Okay. So let me refresh this conversation. And all right, what
That's
should
a
I
good
say?
question. I didn't even think about a question here.
Should I
There,
say like what services do you offer?
yeah, I actually wanted to fail here. So, um, what services do you offer?
All right. So let's see what's happening here.
Okay, so
Our user,
yeah,
what was that, Patrick?
go ahead.
So our user pops into the chat, says, "What services do you offer?" I don't have time to read your whole website. I've got three screaming kids in the background. They've got to go to hockey practice. I just want to know if this company does stairs or not. I don't have time to browse your website. I just desperately need a staircase. And lo and behold, it's able to pull that information from wherever on the website this information is stored and spit it back to us here. In a very polite way. Remember, we are a serious carpentry company. We told Pixel to do that before.
Yeah. And then if you look in test your chatbot below the answer, below the question, you see it says conversation started, and then it says answer found in knowledge base. So when you see that, you can be sure that the answer is coming from a legit source. Now, I wanted to show you that it fails because when it succeeds, remember we had this transition if answered from knowledge base, which ends the loop, let's say the conversation, and the next answer starts at start. So let's ask a more difficult question, which is, what are your opening hours on Monday? Yeah, let's do that because it might not be specific to Monday on the website.
Let's see.
Okay, see, you see it says no valid answer found, but then it still answered something. So this is the fallback. So sometimes you want to adjust your fallback to make it, how do I say this? Less prone to being helpful. Like for instance, you can say you don't know anything about this company, but you just try to be polite. Yeah, you
So,
can
for
try this.
example,
Yeah,
would I put that in the AI task instructions?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, no, actually, you would have to tell it that it doesn't know.
What
You
do you
have
mean
to
by
be
that?
bossy with AI, but be bossy, like impolite as much as possible. Like sometimes, like you when you talk to an AI, you just like kind of yell at it, like you say like important, just picture like how would I say this? Like let's say you're like a really rude boss and you want your employee to like uh give you coffee every morning and no sugar. Uh and then you have this intern that does it. And in real life, you would never say like when the intern doesn't give you the right amount of sugar, you would never like yell at this person and say, "This is terrible. Don't do this ever again." But you can do it with the AI, and you should do it. You should say like, "Never, ever, ever give me anything other than half sugar," and that will solve a whole bunch of issues. It's just the way to deal with them. It's kind of sad in a way, but
Uh,
that's how you
so
solve the issues. So yeah,
coincidentally, related to none of this, Patrick is looking for interns.
no, 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 no.
No, no, that is a joke. Okay, so I see some great questions coming in through chat. So I see your questions. Give me a sec. First, so Patrick, what should I put here? Can you tell me? I'm not good at being bossy. I'm not a very bossy person, as I think you
Okay,
can
so what
tell.
was the name? Carpenter Montreal. So important here, you could say something like, you know absolutely nothing about Carpenter Montreal. Uh, and how do I say this? You can do small talk and let the user you don't know, but they can talk to a person if they want to. And again, this might not work, and we might have to like yell to the AI even more than
Yeah.
just the important in caps.
So maybe I think something that's helpful for me to understand here is that this card, so the AI task card here, is not related to the ones that come before it. So you might think of this
Yeah.
as like your employee, the AI agent, the digital support worker here, steps in and doesn't know anything about Carpentry Montreal. That lives in your knowledge base, your AI task. It's pulling information from GPT, but it's not able to support that information there. So here, that's why we're giving it this kind of specific instruction. And
So
this is again where prompting comes in, where Patrick gave us that great analogy with being bossy.
yeah, be bossy. Be super
Let's
bossy.
before we test this out, I see some questions about the web search knowledge agent. So let's just pop back into there. What am I? Knowledge base. Okay, so a couple of questions from Simply Great Games and other users. Do all the pages on a website need to be crawled and indexed by Google? Can we designate a single page on a website if we want to only use information on a particular page? Patrick, what are some of the answers here?
So for the moment, it crawls everything. Well, everything that Google would crawl would be crawled by us. So the answers would come from there. If you only have a single page, you can probably just like Control P, click print, save to PDF, and upload that. Um, that would probably do the trick most of the time.
Yeah, Simply Great Games. I see one of the questions that you're having is that Botpress is making you remove down to the base URL and remove any of the kind of slugs or remove any of the additional subdomains, let's say. That is something that Botpress supports because to avoid redundancy and to avoid you having to fill in a bunch of different pages. I know that there's been some desire to include perhaps more granularity in the way that we support web pages. I think a good workaround for the moment or a good way to use this feature to your advantage is to upload specific pages via a PDF document, as Patrick says, just Control P, and then you'll be able to do that. Unfortunately, that would need to be updated when the page is updated, but if it's just a static page whose information does not change, that's one way that you can support just a single small web page. And there we
Yeah.
go. I see. Could you clear up the Google indexing question? What is the nature of this question? Please remind me. In the meantime, ba-ba-bum,
Let's go back
um,
to main or
yeah, let's go back to main. Totally.
okay. All right. So let's ask it a question that we know we really shouldn't know the answer to. So, who is the CTO of or what's it called?
Carpentry, Montreal.
Carpentry. Let's see if we yelled at the AI enough. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, we I forgot we had called it Woody in our in our agent
Oh,
instructions.
okay, okay. Yeah, that's why carpentry went off. So we'd have to change that, but yeah, like presumably if you're building this for your company, you wouldn't call your own company Woody. This is just a mistake on our part. But we can go ahead
It's
and
an
fix it.
example. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in any case, I think the thing that we're trying to showcase here is that sometimes users using AI across the board, and this is something that I'm sure you've all read about in the news and whatnot, is that AI will hallucinate answers or pretend that it knows answers. It'll kind of just make things up. And obviously, if you're running a business, that is something that we want to avoid. Um, so what you would like to do is make sure that your AI will not produce answers that it is confident it knows, but it has essentially made up.
And now we have finally shown the value of if a user wants a human. Thank you for the
Uh,
detour, Robert. That was the only reason I wanted to show this.
Wait, have we shown the value of if a user wants a human? I still haven't seen that.
Well, the bot doesn't know. So if you want to know who is the CTO of Carpentry Montreal, you have to ask a human, right?
I see, I
So
see.
then escalate the issue. Like like who's your boss? Tell me who's your boss, right? Um, okay, so now let's work on that. So if user wants a human, would you click
Yes.
that, please? Thank you. And then we have this expression here, but we're gonna change that to an intent. Now, I know I have to explain this. Give me a sec. So what an expression is, it's code based off information from the conversation so far, but it's in a very like programmable way, in a coding way. So everything that has been saved and validated will be accessible for expressions. So for instance, something like if answered from the knowledge base is something we know absolutely true. Has it been answered from knowledge base or not? Uh, in this case, that's the only thing we have so far in our bot. But I don't know if we had the name of the person and we wanted to check if we have the name, we say hello, let's say Patrick or whatever name. Otherwise, we just say hello. It's for these kinds of cases where you're absolutely, how do I say this? Robert, can you summarize? Do you know what I'm
Uh,
talking about?
I'm not sure I'm following exactly what you're saying, but I think the point that we're trying to make here is
Use intent.
expressions. Yeah. So what's happening here is Patrick and I are showing you, if I open up my card tray for a sec, you'll see in Flow Logic there are two types of cards, intents and expressions. Again, there are videos about this on the Botpress YouTube channel, so if you're interested and you want to know more, we've got resources there for you. But this is basically Botpress asking you like, how do you know your user is wanting to do something? So is your user wanting to make a return? How do you know to navigate your user down the correct path? A useful analogy here that you can think of is like if you've ever worked retail and a user comes into the store, the first thing you'll ask them is like, how can I help you? Like what do you want? And if they're saying, I want to know where your produce is, you would guide them to the produce section. This is the same, essentially it's the same thing. Another version of that story is if a customer comes into your store and they look really angry and upset, they're hot in the face and they're just gonna yell at you. You can sense as a human their intent is to talk to your manager, right? And so you're maybe gonna prep your manager and say like, hey, I'm the customer here maybe has complaints, so can you deal with this? Your bot is doing the same thing. It's stepping in for you there. So your bot is always listening to what your user, how your user is communicating, and if essentially what we're getting at here is if your user wants to talk to a human, let's say they're sending messages in chat like, I need to speak to a support worker, I need to file a support ticket. Can I talk to your manager? If it sends a message like that, then we'll be able to send them down the path where they create a support ticket. So whether you're using like something like Salesforce or perhaps even Linear, I believe we support here. The world is endless. I see Patrick has put yes in chat. I'm not really
Oh, yeah,
sure
that
why.
was to the question, not to, yeah. Uh,
Okay.
okay,
In any
so
case,
let's use it.
I will. Before we continue here and use intents, we've got just a couple of minutes left on our timing here for today. So really what we wanted to show you was how to automate the process to create a support ticket in whatever you're using. But if you got additional questions, put them in chat, join our server. You all know the drill. But Patrick, let's get intense.
Yeah, and then we just give it examples. If you click type a value, yes, skip the label, just write it here. So intent is, oh my God. Okay, you can start with the label. Fine. All right, can I talk to a human? Talk to a human. Speak to the manager. Who's your boss? Something like that. All right. Okay, good enough. So with all these examples, it will figure out when a user wants to talk to your boss. And then it will activate and send the user to create a ticket. So in create a ticket, let's click add a card. We'll test, we don't have a lot of time, so we'll just test it out all in one go at the end. And okay, go up a little bit. We have capture information. Go down. We're looking for email address. Let's go with email address. Now, there's a few things that you would want to ask your user. If you wanted to ask for their name, don't click it, but just point out where it is. Person name at the bottom right. So you could ask for their name. Here, you could ask for their address. Maybe it depends on the circumstances. Pricing, if they have a budget or whatnot. So you could click all of these and create them. But for the moment, we're just going to stick to email address. So you can leave the side menu. Just click the workflow. Okay, and then back to email address. Okay, thank you. That simplifies our screen. So the question to ask a user email. Wow, what a great question. We should probably say something like, we should probably say something like, okay, we can let you talk to a human, or sure, you can
So
talk to my boss.
yeah, so basically this text field is you can put whatever you like in there. Patrick, I've got
Yeah.
a separate question related to this. If I don't have the energy to come up with a polite way of asking the user for their email, will the personality agent overwrite what's written here and
Yes.
rephrase it for me? So if you're watching this and you're like, I don't want to ask my user politely for 8 different questions, or I want to add some variation into the way that I'm asking for this information, the personality agent will do that for you. Just a
But
quick reminder, you can
yeah,
find that in the personality agent here in the agents menu.
but specifically in this case, I don't think it would do what I want, because that's actually adding a new. It's not rewriting what you're saying. It's because something is missing. The thing that you want to say is gotcha, or like acknowledge that you understand that they want to talk to a human. This is just conversation design. Uh, Exactly, like that. And he will rewrite that to make it nicer, but you'd still have to include it. It won't like come up with something entirely new uh, sentence that
Uh,
has a different meaning. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Patrick, there's a couple of great, beautiful gems in what he said. A lot of the time, I think we expect AI to complete a lot for us, and maybe prompting is the solution to answer all of our solutions. And Botpress is an AI first company. We're an AI first platform, but there are a couple of other principles that are at play here. For example, conversation design. Now, not everyone is a conversation designer. It's definitely a learned skill. And so one of the things at Botpress that we want to try to do is give those conversation design powers to people that are not conversation designers. Not all companies can afford a team of conversation designers. It's a lot of work, and again, it's definitely a learned skill. So what we're trying to do is prompt you to think in conversation design ways and programming ways without having to learn those hard skills. So prompting can take you far, but actually, we're trying to teach you other things as well. So you don't need to be a team of 10 people working on a bot. If you'd like to see a series on conversation design, wink, wink, just let us know because chances are I'm already building it. We are coming up on time, so I think there's one last question I want to answer before we leave today, and perhaps pick this up again next week. Um,
Can we just
but
save the variable so we finish the email address
yes,
here?
so let's save here email.
You can just call it email. Yeah, press enter, and there you go. It would be stored in email, and then we could use it later for other things.
Yeah,
like
Uh,
sending.
so So there's a question in chat about global intents. Ungry, what I'm going to suggest is watch my videos on global intents and utterances, and there's a whole series of them on our YouTube channel. And if you're still not following after that, come hang out on our Discord server. But for those of you watching perhaps on YouTube, you can find your global intents library here. So the answer, Ungry, is that already exists. You can store global intents here, which will be listening at every node. So you can do individual listens or you can do them globally this way. Okay, so perhaps, Patrick, I will just recap and walk over to the room I'm in and kick me if I've said anything wrong. But just what we've shown you today is no, not already. Patrick, I can see him; he's right over there. Patrick is what Patrick and I have built today is a really simple way to start building a bot that is just answering from a knowledge base, so answering any kind of support queries automatically. And then if it's not able to do that, it can capture an email address, perhaps send it to Trello over here. So this is really a very simple two-node bot that should solve a lot of use cases that you're running into. Just really simple queries that your customers have, regardless of vertical. We use carpentry as an example here, but you can automate a lot of these different processes, especially if you have digital businesses, so on and so forth. What do you think, Patrick? Was that right?
I'm not going to kick you.
Okay,
No
excellent.
violence.
All right.
Violence is only for AI to get them to do stuff. Well, not like
Yes.
verbal violence, just to be clear
O-
here.
Only bossiness for your AI. All right. Thank you all for coming out, asking really good questions in chat. Very, very helpful. If you're still running into questions or you still got some trouble, please hang out on our Discord server. We're usually there to answer a lot of your questions. Really helpful if you provide screenshots or really clear explanations of what's going on, so we can help you faster and better. If there are other things that you want to see, videos you'd like me to make, a certain haircut you want me to get, I can't make any promises, but I can try my best. All right. Big thank you to Patrick for joining me on today's stream. I will see you all on Discord.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.